What's up, guys? Kyle with HypertroFit and PectusWarriors.com. Today I'm going to show you how to build a pendulum squat with zero footprint. Let's go. Macro Chief, the macro tracking app that I personally coded and continue to update every month. Set your goal, list your habits, and let the app take it from there. Mastering your nutrition has never been easier. Try it for free today on iOS. If you've ever been lucky enough to go to a gym that actually has a pendulum squat, you'll know why people love them so much. They're incredible at targeting your quads with putting next to no stress on your lower back. The problem is they are huge, they are incredibly expensive, and they take up a ton of space. So they're really not super viable for most people with home gyms. Now, I have put together a version of a pendulum squat that I think is almost as close as you can possibly get, and I'm going to walk you through exactly how I've built this out. Now, do note that we are not using the equipment here as it is expressly built for, so do this at your own risk. This is not a recommendation of how to do this, but this is just how I go about it. So what I am using here is a Mars bar. I have done this before in the past with a safety squat bar, but the Mars bar works way better because of the positioning on your back, with it being lower and with you getting into that angled stance. The Mars bar is actually perfect, whereas a safety squat bar, because it's higher positioned up on your back, you end up being able to still do the exercise, but it's still a lot more stress on the upper back because you're trying to keep that in position. So just keep that in mind. I haven't tried this with a straight bar. I don't know if it's even possible, but I wouldn't really recommend it. The Mars bar is absolutely perfect. And I am anchoring this to the rack with some climbing straps. So these are very heavily rated weight-wise. I just picked them up off of Amazon and can support the load needed in this exercise. I am strapping that onto the rack with some band pegs. So these are just good heavy-duty band pegs that I have from Titan. And then on the floor, which I will show you, is a Prime Fitness slant squat wedge. I'm not sure exactly what they call it, but I bought it specifically to be able to use this exercise because it's going to allow us to get our feet at the right angle as we're squatting here. Behind that, I do have a bumper plate just to keep the foot plate from moving, though it honestly holds its position really well even when this is loaded up. And so the anchoring part is going to be the most unique element of this for anybody that's trying to replicate this, because it's all about getting the right height for you specifically and length that fits within your rack. So I will show you what I mean here. The absolute best case scenario is to use as much slack in the strap as your rack can fit. So I am trying to set this up every time so that this strap stretches basically to this upright without the bar actually hitting it. So as you will see, I walk this back and I am maybe 2 inches away from that upright, and that's going to allow me to get as wide of an arc as possible, which is part of what makes this movement feel so smooth. Now, because different racks are different depths, and obviously people are different heights, you're going to have to play around with getting these pins set up in the right way. You don't even necessarily need 2 sets of pins. This is just the way that I do it to make finding the height a little bit easier. The first thing you want is to get the access point right. So this pin that the cable or the strap is pulling on at the bottom of the squat is going to be mostly relative to your height. So again, play around with this based on what your rack is going to allow for. And then I've simply just wrapped this strap around the back and anchored it in the front so that I can actually look at the height spacing of the hole that I need to use. So on my rack, that's 23 on both sides to get me all the way back. If you had a shorter rack or a less wide rack, you would need to pull this further down, which shortens the length of the strap, and would also necessitate that this anchor point gets lower, because the shorter that strap gets, the lower your anchor point will need to be. And you'll see that as you start to actually try this out for yourself. And from there, it's really just a matter of playing around with what feels good, because obviously there is a little bit more give to this than using a regular machine. But once you dial in the proper height, this thing feels incredible. So try it out with the Mars bar if you've got it. If you have a safety squat bar, give it a shot. And if you like that enough, then maybe even invest in the Mars bar just to have a significantly cheaper zero footprint alternative to a pendulum squat, and use it at any point that you want. And that is the zero footprint pendulum squat. Build it right in your rack. Use a couple specialty bars to do it, but again, taking up no additional space. So if you guys found this useful, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I am a personal trainer and coach. If you want help developing your own programs for your home gym, or even if you train at a regular commercial facility, perfectly fine too. If you wanted to pick up some of this equipment, I will provide my links in the description. I am affiliated with a few different companies. And yeah, so thank you guys for tuning in, and I will catch you again in the next one.